Hey everybody, Resident Loser Jeremy here. I like to enjoy my music like I enjoy my food. A little bit in excess. I kind of view music as food and how it's made and how it's enjoyed and kind of how we talk about it. Sometimes the comment section of any YouTube video that's audio related will end up like a subway line with somebody getting upset with what the person in front of them is ordering. Ultimately, that sandwich has nothing to do with you. You don't have to eat it. Mind your business. But in all seriousness, we kind of treat each other's musical taste like we're getting upset with what they're ordering in a restaurant. We don't have to eat it. We don't have to listen to it, but I can respect your decision to put pineapple on pizza and call it a meal. I'm not gonna do it. Comment down below if that's even considered food. But like that, there's multiple areas of music, just like there are multiple areas of food meant to be enjoyed in different ways. I think about a sushi restaurant. You can spend a stupid amount of money to travel the world and eat the world's finest sushi, and the ingredients are very, very simple and pure, and they're meant to be enjoyed that way, that something doesn't muddy something else, and the taste and the experience can be enjoyed as an ensemble playing off of each other. The simplicity and the purity of the ingredient itself is what makes the dish amazing. In my mind, that can be a John Mayer record. The simplicity and how that stuff is recorded, the depth at how you're hearing it, the dynamics, the musicality, nothing gets in the way of those records. Is it for everybody? No, but that's a really good example of the ingredients matter. And on the flip side of that, you have food challenges where this simple act of eating can be considered the challenge in being able to finish it. Now, if you can appreciate the offense of it or not. I think about some metal records or even some like jazz fusion stuff. Although there's a different kind of barrier to entry, and I experienced this when I started listening to jazz. I didn't get a lot of it. Or even the same with some like mathcore, where you can't quite wrap your head around it at first, but once you do, good lord, the payoff is pretty intense. Even on the topic of adult beverages, like Stone Brewery makes this their entire thing. So this mentality exists of, no, you can't handle this, but that's okay. It's not meant for you. You're not supposed to enjoy that. And a lot of times, music can be the same way. If you don't like something, it's probably because it's not meant for you. But that's fine. But one thing we need to get off the table is arguing with each other over what is real music and what is not. Everything is music. And the simple fact that it exists, the simple fact that it's successful, now there definitely is some level of fabrication in the music industry when it comes to success, but the overarching thing here, when we're talking about genres, styles of music, not necessarily artists in particular, it could be kind of dangerous territory to just take a dump all over at a genre as a whole, where pop music isn't pop. Well, now be careful. Some of the most intricate and well-produced records of our time happen to be pop. Maybe you don't like this one. Maybe you don't like what happens to be on the radio stations where you're listening to music, but that doesn't mean pop as a whole can be discounted.
Oh, I just don't like records where they scream. I can't understand what they're saying.
Cool. It's not meant for you. Screaming is a guttural thing. It's what we did before we could talk as a species. You don't have to appreciate it. And if you don't want that kind of outlet where you need to experience anger in another way so it doesn't come out in your life as a whole, then that music's not really for you. But it can be a really, really good outlet for somebody else. That's kind of a bummer. And it's kind of a bummer for you. If you happen to be a music professional and you're discounting other genres, you're losing the chance to learn from something. I'll tell you what, if you listen to something as dense as a metal record, I mean sonically dense, there's a lot going on. There's a lot happening rhythmically, tonally. There's not a lot of space to work with. I have learned a ton about arrangement, instrument arrangement, what can pair with what, listening to records like that, because you have to be surgically precise to make a record like that sound good. Just recently, I have learned a ton listening to K-pop, or one group in particular, KDA, on just the vocal production. It's astonishing what they do with those records, and you can strip away all of the other instruments going on and still know what's happening with the music because they're introducing that much of it into the vocal production. Now, whether or not that's your taste or not, that's not really the point, is it? It's about learning to pull all these little pieces from all these other genres. They don't have to exist in a vacuum, especially when you're a music professional looking to create music for as many people as you can without turning off the other people around you. The quickest way to make enemies in the music business is to take shots at their musical taste rather than to find value in it. As accessible as the music industry is as a whole anymore, it's hard to find somebody who doesn't like the music style you're talking about within a given group. So you better quickly figure out a way to find value in the music that you listen to, because every time that can be a learning experience. If you're immediately shut off from other genres, even if you happen to work in one genre. I've got a buddy who started out as kind of a bedroom producer doing like EDM electronic stuff, background as a drummer, gone on to do some just amazing stuff in the music industry. And this guy listened to everything. He wasn't just listening to what he was creating. Of course, that's a big part of how he learned to do what he does, but if he didn't find value or said he wouldn't work in any other genre, he wouldn't have learned nearly as quick. Being able to pick apart what makes other genres awesome makes your music approachable and relevant. In some cases, timeless, because we recycle so many things about music. If you're specifically listening to one genre only as an engineer, you would miss the waves and what's coming. Just like country seems to follow metal by a few years. Acapella follows EDM. Now, obviously, there's rules to be broken here in every instance, but there are kind of arcs of what the audience of each one of these genres tend to listen to, and also what gets on Billboard a few years after it happens in another genre. It's just interesting to see those patterns, and you won't see them if you're only listening to one spot of the music industry. So we talk about being hungry when you're like this, but I think you can kind of use that as literally as you would like. Be hungry, because music is food. Music has ingredients. Now, if you're trying to learn to cook and you only decide that you like 3 ingredients, you're not going to make a whole lot of dishes. But if you're willing to go out and try these other things and increase your palate, imagine the dishes you could make. Imagine the music you could create if you gave yourself every ingredient at your disposal and you understood that ingredient and exactly how to use it and what it paired well with and how long to cook it. Now we're getting too far down this road. When we break it down, music is meant for everyone. The goal of all of us as musicians is to make as many people hear it and latch onto it as possible. So if we're actively ignoring a portion of the market while we're in the formation stages of our own tastes in music, that'll carry through. But if you're actively seeking out things to make you uncomfortable and to kind of stretch your boundaries as far as your own preference when it comes to music creation, I think you'd be surprised at some of the ideas that you can gather, even from bands that you think you hate. There's some knowledge you can gain. Go find it. Let me know if you've ever listened to something that you despise, but you learned something. I'd be curious, because I have a whole list of things that I can think of. Guitar tones from Nickelback records, kick drum sounds from Nickelback records, snare drum sounds from Nickelback records. Nickelback makes some really good sounding records. Song arrangements from Taylor Swift, texture and prosody from Lady Gaga records. Stuff that you don't think you like. There's a lot to be learned. Somebody help me find something positive from a Justin Bieber record. I'm trying. I'm kidding. Anyway, guys, I like to think in analogies like this because it kind of simplifies things and it kind of describes how to interact with each other. I latch on to stuff like that. If you kind of like where I'm going with this, comment down below with your weirdest order in takeout. Or if you think I'm just full of crap, let me know that too. Hit the like button if you liked it. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button for more. I'm Resident Loser Jeremy, and I'll see you in the next one.